Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Cardfight Vanguard Greedon deck profile. This is the update to the deck for post-Clash of the Heroes. I know it's been a while since that set was released, but never got around to actually updating Greedon. Big thanks to my buddy Anthony for allowing me to borrow his deck for the video. But Greedon focuses on being able to change the amount of damage it takes for you to lose to 7 in Greedon Masks. Does it the same way with more of an actual setup using your Greedon Mask and the setup of the many different Desire Devils in your soul to utilize restand power for your Vanguard, just like the original Greedon would as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the ride deck. Our starter is Desire Devil Taida. When rode upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Desire Devil Gomen. When this unit is rode upon by Desire Devil Bishoku, you reveal an Avaricious Demonic Dragon Greedon from your ride deck and draw a card. So easy to do since you always have the Greedon in your ride deck. And when this unit is put from rear guard into your soul by your Vanguard's ability, when your opponent would call a card from hand to guard, they must call 2 or more at the same time. So pretty good guard restriction as well. With our grade 2 being Desire Devil Bishoku, when it's rode upon by a Voracious Demonic Dragon Greedon, put a card from your hand to your soul, search your deck for a card with the same name as this card revealed, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So more search power for this unit as well. We're going for more of the other Desire Devil setup, so we don't run any other Bishoku, but still having the search power as an added option can come up depending on the card revealed. And from the soul during your turn, if your damage zone is 4 or more cards, the Avaricious Demonic Dragon Greedon on your Vanguard gets plus 5,000 power, which is our last card in the ride deck as well. If your soul has a Voracious Demonic Dragon Greedon, the number of cards in your damage zone becomes 7. We're not running any other copies of Greedon in the deck, though, because our main focus for this version of the deck is our Avaricious Demonic Dragon King Greedon Masks. This card can only be ridden from a grade 3 Greedon in its name. The number of cards in your damage zone for you to lose becomes 7. So even just having this Greedon on your Vanguard circle will then let it so that you don't have to have any other numbers in your soul to then lose. The number just has to be 7 for that number in total. And on the Vanguard circle, once per turn, you can remove a card with Greedon in its different card name from this unit's hand, soul, or drop to look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 Desire Devil in its card name from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So this just gives you search power. That's why I'm okay with this version of the deck, just running the 1 copy of Greedon to use. You have the bind power with this card, and then other than that, it's just search power. The main skill of this card comes down to its 3rd card effect on the Vanguard circle once per turn. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked. If your soul has 3 or more cards with Desire Devil in their card names, put 3 rear guards that are stood into the soul to stand this unit, and gets plus 5 until end of turn. So what's best about it also is that you only have to put 3 for Greedon Masks, where you had to put 4 for the original Greedon to be able to restand this card and give it plus 5,000 power as well. And also for the fact that you don't get any drive minus as well for having 3 or more Desire Devil, just putting 3 to stand this unit and gets plus 5,000, so you'll be attacking again with the twin drive that your Greedon provides. Also, the 4 copies of Dragon Tree Wretch Skull Kemda. It's your searcher for the Mask of Hydrogrim, and also just being able to place down a Dragon Tree marker for the cost of 1 Counterblast and 1 Soul Blast. So search power, so you can then get the order that will then be able to search out your Greedon Mask more efficiently as well. And for more soul build-up power as well, 4 copies of Clean Sweep Dragon. Just if you Persona Road this turn, Counterblast 1, choose up to a total of 3 of your opponent's rear guards or your rear guards, and you put them into the chosen owner's soul, and then this unit gets plus 5 for each card. So this card can also help to put the required amount of Desire Devils into your soul for your Greedon Mask, or even just take away some of your opponent's rear guards very easily. And then we're also running for the actual Desire Devils 3 copies of Desire Devil Fujo. When this unit is put into the soul from the rear guard, the ability of your Vanguard with green on its card name becomes choose 1 of your opponent's rear guards and you may retire it. So then you have the option for retire power as well. And also from the soul, when your Vanguard with green on in its card name, attacks, bind this card, and until the end of the battle, when your opponent would call cards from their hand to the guard circle, they must call 2 or more at the same time. A little more efficient than the grade 1 from the Ride deck to use also. And we're also running the 3 copies of Desire Devil Sasio. From the deck, if you have a Vanguard with Greedon in its card name, this card is also regarded as having the same name as all your cards with Desire Devil in the card name and your soul. So this is also the other card you use for the search power regarding your Desire Devil Bishoku for the search. And on the rear guard and guard circle, if your soul has 3 or more cards with Desire Devil, it gets attack plus 5,000 and shield plus 5,000, adding for a little more defensive guard power, with the last of the grade 2s being the 3 copies of Desire Devil Keenan. When this card is placed on rear during your main phase, counter +1, look at the top card of your deck, call it to rear guard, and at the end of the turn, retire that called unit. So you really don't have to worry about it being retired, because as always with this deck, you're just going to be placing it into the soul using Greedon's skills. You're just giving yourself more resources thanks to Desire Devil Kennen to then use for all your other units to be placed into the soul. For the grade 1s, we run 3 copies of Desire Devil Zito. When this card is put from the rear guard into the soul by your Vanguard's ability, choose a card from your drop and put it in your soul. More setup using your Desire Devil Zito to then give you more cards in the soul just by placing it for your card's own skill as well. And also the 3 copies of Recusal Hate Dragon for the Sentinel, along with the 1 copy of Elementaria Sanctitude to go up against triple drive decks, and then just have the lesser guard restriction with these cards as well when blocking any of your opponent's attacks. And then as for the orders, we're running the 2 copies of Mask of Hadrium. You're able to search it off of the Skull Kemda, so just having the additional numbers of this card to be able to search, and then have additional searches for adding your Greedon masks to your hand to then get more efficient persona rides. I find 2 to be perfect number for the deck also. And then for the trigger lineup for the added pressure of a restanding Vanguard, we're running 8 criticals. So the 4 Flinty Slasher and the 4 Stem Deviate Dragon. Like I said, with a restanding Vanguard, if you can give that additional pressure, along with the Gamalga Held over trigger we're running, it just adds more and more to what your Vanguard can do in this deck. With the next trigger choice being the 3 copies of Diablos Girls Natalia. With Greedon Mask only having to put 3 cards into the soul, you can keep your front row pretty much active to use for the additional attacks to go up against your opponent. So front triggers help just to power up those cards, since you no longer have the boosted units if you're putting them into the soul to use for Greedon Mask. And then for the heal, just the 2 copies of the Diablos Girls Ariana and the 2 copies of Sensuality Elixir Favriona. Not using any of the ability triggers, just for added guard that these cards can provide on their own, with our over trigger being the Gamalga Held, as I mentioned before. Early game, if you drive check it, having your Greedon at a permanent 10,000 power and critical +1 is just an added pressure to use for every single attack that it restands with also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, thanks again to my buddy Anthony for letting me borrow his Greedon deck for the video. And until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.